She was found murdered inside her home, and to this very day, her murder has still gone unsolved. Hello, true crimerers. This is the still unsolved mysteries case of Merilu, Geri. Viewer discretion is advised. Merilu was born on September 10th, 1952, and she was born in Brownsville, Texas. In 1982, she would marry her longtime boyfriend, Stephen Geri, and the two of them would live in their home in Sugar Land, Texas. Stephen owned his own insurance company, and he operated that company out of their house. It was this really beautiful, big two-story home that they shared together, and he pretty much worked from home most of the time. And Merilu, she worked for him, so she also worked from home. At 10:06 a.m. on February 14th, Valentine's Day of 1986, the police there in the Sugar Land and Houston area received a panicked 911 phone call from Merilu's mother. Her mother had discovered Merilu on the ground, face down in the hallway of her home, Merilu's home. And she was in a pool of blood, and it appeared that she had been shot, and she was unresponsive. Merilu's mother, Maria Serrato, had gone to the house that morning at the request of Merilu's husband, Stephen. Merilu was going to be throwing a party at the house, one for Valentine's Day and also for her mother's birthday. Upcoming birthday. It was supposed to occur sometime in the lunchtime hours, and Stephen said that he couldn't get a hold of Merilu because he tried calling her, because this particular morning, Stephen wasn't there. We'll get back to that in just a minute. And then after Maria tried calling the house, she also couldn't get a hold of her. So that's why she went to the house to check on her, because Merilu was already supposed to be up and around the house getting ready for the party, so she thought it was very concerning. So when she got there, the door was partially ajar, and that's then when she discovered her daughter on the ground. So she calls an ambulance at 10:06 a.m., and there at the house, they try to give Merilu, I guess, life-saving treatment. They do one of those injections into her heart, but unfortunately it does not work. She is rushed to the hospital, but at the hospital, when she arrives, she is pronounced deceased. Merilu's autopsy would show that she had been shot 4 times, but with 2 different guns. She was shot twice with a .380 and then 2 more times with a .22. There was no gun found in the house, but Stephen did own guns. However, his guns would later be tested, and they were not the guns to fire the fatal bullets. Because of the injection that they gave Merilu to try to kickstart her heart when the ambulance arrived, that made finding out her time of death pretty much nearly impossible. That, unfortunately, would kind of create a pretty big hindrance in this case. At the house, when police investigated it, there was absolutely no signs of forced entry. No broken windows, no doors were kicked in. There was no fingerprints, like foreign fingerprints, anywhere on any windowsills or the doors. The police canvassed the entire neighborhood, and nobody can recall seeing anyone near her house around the times this would have happened. No one saw anyone fleeing from the house. No one saw cars speeding away from the house. Nothing. But again, determining the exact time of death was impossible. So when they question Stephen, he tells them his account of what happened, and he seems to have a very detailed account of his morning. Like I said earlier, Stephen worked from home, pretty much almost exclusively. It was very rare for him to leave the house for work purposes, especially in the morning. So Stephen claims he woke up at 5 a.m. Merilu was still in bed. He then went upstairs to do some work in his office. Then at approximately 6:25 to 6:30 in the morning, he walked past the bedroom again and saw Merilu still asleep in bed. He says at approximately 7 in the morning, he kind of woke her up to say, "Hey, I'll call you in a little bit, I'm stepping out." But then when he left the house, she was still asleep in bed and still alive. He told police that he thought the security system was armed when he left the house, but the alarm was never triggered, it was never tripped, it wasn't going off at all. He then says right after leaving the house, he went to 7-Eleven to get a cup of coffee. He then went to the post office, he picked up their mail. He then goes to a donut shop, buys some donuts. He then went to a company called Precision Glass, where he spoke to the owner for a decent amount of time. At this point, it's about 7:30-ish. And so he's about to leave Precision Glass when he realizes, oops, I told Merilu I would call her. So he asks the people there if he could use their phone. And he says at about 7:30, 7:35 or so, he calls the house. Merilu answers, and she is awake and getting ready to start setting up the party. Between 7:30 a.m. and 10:06 a.m., when she was found dead in the house, Stephen was allegedly around witnesses almost the entire time. And police would question these witnesses, and they basically all corroborated his story that he was with them. But keep in mind, they don't know her time of death. They don't know if she could have been dead before he left the house, and he's just saying she was alive. They cannot prove when she died, unfortunately. So Merilu's parents would hire a private investigator. The private investigator interviewed most of the witnesses who confirmed his alibi. Most of those witnesses also said to the investigator that Stephen almost never, ever left his house for work stuff, even before 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Him leaving at, 7 a.m. or shortly before 7 a.m. was extremely bizarre and very random and rare for him. So everyone found it pretty odd that the one morning that his wife is murdered is the one morning he decides to completely change his normal routine. It also happens to be very bizarre that he seems to have a moment-by-moment recount of everything he did that morning. The private investigator found out that Stephen, just the day after Merilu's murder, went back to all of those places just to get receipts and to also let them know, hey, in case anyone asks, just for the police, just remember that I was here yesterday. It's a little strange. Merilu and Stephen, they had been married for several years prior to this, and according to Stephen, the marriage was great. They were a very loving and very happy couple, that there was almost no issues in their relationship, and that he would have no motive and reason to do this. But according to Merilu's family and friends, Merilu was not happy. As a matter of fact, she called to complain about the marriage to her friends and family many times, and usually she called crying. Merilu used the term marriage was in torment many times when talking to friends and family. So, completely polar opposite opinions of this marriage. And Maria, her mom, said that another factor is that Merilu said that the two of them, Merilu and Stephen, always had money problems. Police did uncover, guess what? Insurance policies, yeah. 2 years before the murder took place, Stephen had purchased life insurance policies. And that was for himself and for Merilu. He purchased multiple, and each one was worth about $435,000. And then another investigator found that Stephen had $125,000 worth of hard cash judgments. I'm not sure what that means. And they were against himself. So it's widely believed that the motive here was actually money. A year hadn't even gone by from Merilu's murder when Stephen tried to cash out those insurance policies, but Merilu's family was trying to stop him from doing that. The problem is the insurance investigators, because the paramedics used that particular injection on her heart and they couldn't determine the time of death, the insurance investigators didn't have enough proof to state that Merilu was deceased before Stephen left the house. Eventually, when it came time for cashing out the insurance, and after Merilu's family tried to stop Stephen, apparently in court they came to a settlement, and that settlement has not been released, like how much it was. Stephen Geri remains the only person of interest in this case. Everything logically points to Stephen either having done this himself before he left the house or possibly hiring someone or possibly two people to do it, since there were two different guns used. This is all evidenced by the fact that how specific he was with his alibi, the fact that he went back the next day to remind everyone that he was there, the fact that he went and got receipts, the fact that he never left the house before 9 or 10 in the morning, but this one particular day he did. There was no sign of a break-in. And the other conflicting reports is what may have been stolen from the house. Stephen says several $100,000 worth of jewelry was stolen, but he didn't have any records or receipts to prove those items were stolen, because when police arrived and they investigated the house, there was jewelry out in the open everywhere. As a matter of fact, Merilu had laid out jewelry on her table to wear that day. Very expensive jewelry. There was other various very expensive items that could have very easily have been stolen, but nothing, according to Merilu's parents, was stolen. Stephen saying things were stolen. So again, we have contradicting reports. But again, Stephen couldn't prove what was stolen. Police looked into any other possibility of who may have possibly done this, but they couldn't find anyone. They couldn't find any person in her life that had anything against her. She wasn't like having an affair with anyone. She didn't have anyone from like previous jobs or ex-boyfriends or anything along those lines that had any animosity towards her. They were able to basically clear almost everyone. And the only person who would have had a motive to do this was her husband, Stephen. But it's really just a matter of, did he do it directly or did he hire someone? I do understand they've looked into like his financials and everything. They couldn't tell that he had paid anyone like some large amount of money, nothing like that. The case unfortunately just went cold after, a few months, and then a year goes by and 2 years go by. They got nothing. They have no proof to say with certainty that Stephen did this. Police have been careful not to say that Stephen Geri is a suspect. They've only said he is a person of interest. They even said, quote, if he didn't do it himself, he may know or likely had something to do with it, end quote. Merilu's family pretty much all believe Stephen did this. And to be quite honest with you, on paper, it sure the hell looks that way. But we are here in 2023, and there is no additional updates on this case. They have put out a $20,000 reward for anyone who can provide information that would lead to the apprehension of Merilu's killer. Yeah, it's possible. This may have been a totally random home invasion that just went horribly wrong. Usually in these situations, killers love to talk. Killers usually love to brag. And whoever killed her may have said something to someone. So someone, somewhere out there, knows the truth about what happened to Merilu Geri. Perhaps that someone is you. If you have any information about the murder of Merilu Geri, you can contact the Fort Bend County's Crime Stoppers Department at 281-342-TIPS. You can also send a tip to www.fortbend.crimestoppersweb.com. You could report anything anonymously, and so they never have to know who you are. So if you do know anything, please call or email and let Merilu's family and Merilu herself finally get the justice she deserves. But that is it for this case, True Crime Maroonies. I hope you found it interesting. As usual, if you have tripped, fallen, and stumbled your way into this video, hello, I'm Mike. I tell true crime stories. I tell 4 a week here on YouTube. I tell 1 on Instagram, 1 on Facebook on Thursdays and Fridays. I also tell a few throughout the week over on TikTok. So please subscribe to me here. Give this video a like so more people can see it. And then subscribe and follow my other socials, which is in the link tree in the description below if you so choose. If you have a case you want me to cover, please email me. My email is listed in the description below. Just email me the name of the person, where it happened, and when it happened, and I will add it to my list. I choose my cases at random. I don't know when I'll cover the case you recommend, but I will get to it eventually. There's a lot of names on there. If you want to support me in any way, we do sell merch, t-shirts, hoodies, that kind of thing. We do ship all over the entire world, and the link to that is also in the link tree below. And then finally, if you have a Discord account and you want to join my Discord server, the link is also in the link tree, but please be over the age of 18 or you're going to be kicked out of there. Sorry, not sorry. But that is it for this video. True crime ruinies. Yeah. Oh. To say goodbye, Molly wants to say goodbye to everyone. Say bye. Say goodbye. Say bye. Say bye. You're a talking dog. She's a talking dog. I swear to God, she did. Oh, now you're gonna be silent. Now you're not gonna say anything. You never shut up. You're always talking about like taxes and war and shit. You're kind of weird, man. Nothing? This is embarrassing. Bye. Okay.